Hi, love. Hi, hello, and welcome to Co-Creative Healing Journey. My name is Greta. I am a healer, and this is the very first messages, soul messages for the new theme, which is departure. So we are talking departure for 3 weeks. This is the first one, and then we have two more. And of course, the healing work will be out for departure. And so, for those of you who don't know, here on the channel, I host an ongoing healing process where I post messages, and then over on my Patreon, I post the healing work, intuitive healings, but also the energy work that comes out for each theme, and that will be out today for departure. And so I love departure. I love talking about departure. I'm the queen of departure, self-titled queen of departure. And that is because departure, how I define it, is a value-based shift away from the status quo. So a heart awakening, a heart transformation that leads us to be, do, live, create differently in the world. That is departure. There's the old way, and then there's whatever we create and co-create, right? With ourselves, with spirit, with one another, and so on. So let's get right to it and see how spirit wants to talk departure. We have got embrace, master number 11. We have belonging. Interesting, embrace, belonging, and we have priorities, yeah. Oh, I like this. It's almost like, look, embrace. First of all, departure, that value-based shift, it has to come from a space and a place where we are not in opposition with everything that is wrong in the world. There's the ability to embrace it. There's the ability to come at it from a higher perspective. And by the way, when we see here Lord Ganesha representing the divinity, embracing the rat, which represents the low aspects, and especially technically represents the ego, but here spirit is having it represent kind of the illnesses, the disease, the brokenness, the dysfunctions of the world. And so to embrace it is not to say that it's good, it's to understand that it requires the love of the divine to heal what's broken in us, in others, and in the world. It requires higher energy. It requires a higher perspective. Even at an individual level, it requires our higher self to be able to take it on. If we go at everything that's wrong in the world, everything that we want to depart from in the status quo, if we want to shift out of those things, but we are opposing them, we're coming at them, this is wrong, this is that, done with this, then that's the same energy of the status quo that again opposes, oppresses, fights, and so on. So there's no real departure. It's just the same thing perpetuating itself. But that real and true departure has a starting point where in Master number 11, there's a kind of awakening into a higher state of being where we see it and we go, oh wow, you're broken. Oh wow, you're hurt. Hurt people hurt people. Oh wow, you are small. Oh wow, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with how you're functioning, rather, and what you're doing and what you're choosing and what you're co-creating in the world. There's something broken there. There's something hurt. There's something dark. And that realization is the embrace. It's not like, good job, I'm being evil. It's just going like, wow, you're evil. Man, I feel for you. I can't imagine anything worse than being evil. I can't imagine anything more soulless, soul wrenching than to be hurting people and delighting in it and enjoying it and celebrating it. Oh my God, wow. Yeah, that's the embrace. That's that higher perspective. And spirit is saying again, that's the the starting point, because when you have that perspective, you're not participating in it, right? You're already not participating, and you're also bigger than what it is that you're seeing. And that's also fundamental to departure. I never thought about it this way, but it takes the greatness in you to see that what is actually unfolding in the status quo is small, is limited, and therefore could be greater. So you are departing because you want a greater version of the status quo. It's not necessarily that you want to throw it out with the bathwater, throw the baby out with the bathwater. Rather, you want to embrace the baby and take better care of it, right? So for example, if you see that relationships are unfolding through conditional love, and they can be so toxic and they can be so kind of instrumentalized, where we're using one another, you see that way of being, of functioning, and the greatness in you goes, no, there is unconditional love. There's something greater, something truer that I want for myself. And you you see it as something small, something limiting, and therefore you know your own greatness and your creative capability to co-create something greater, right? Maybe not here, maybe not with you, maybe not in these conditions, maybe not at this time, but I can. I have that power, that potential exists in the world, and therefore I will depart to go and seek it out. Now, with the belonging, this is spirit saying that as soon as you depart, you don't fall off the edge of the world. I love it. I'm just seeing it like and that's kind of what the status quo teaches. If you depart from me, if you depart from this relationship, if you depart from this dynamic that we have, whether it is a personal, a relational, a societal dynamic, situation, circumstance, whatever it is, if you depart from it, you're going to be alone and you're going to die alone, because we are herd animals and we have been for a very, very long time. And so we have DNA memories. We have inscribed in our reptilian brain that to be alone is dangerous and we're going to die, because thousands of years ago, that's literally it. We left the herd, middle of snowstorm, and we died. We needed the herd to have resources and to be able to survive, and even to procreate and things like that. And so when we depart, it can feel like we're going to be alone and we're going to be isolated and we're going to be at risk. But Spirit is saying it's actually when you depart that you find your belonging, but also the true belonging in a larger sense, so that that belonging is not in the status quo, right? We don't belong because we're conforming. That's what the status quo requires, is conformity. Conformity isn't belonging, but belonging can exist once we depart. We can belong with ourselves first and foremost. We can be with ourselves. We can belong with one another. We can belong with nature, with the animals, with the planet. We can belong also in society, where we don't need to have wars. We don't need to have conflict over resources. We don't need to have all these things, because the very basis from which we function is, from a different perspective of the belonging, is the oneness. It's the unity that unites all of us. And so that can only exist with departure. And very many of you have known the opposite of belonging, right? Very many of us have known the opposite of belonging, whether that is in our families, in our homes, in our relationships, in our workplaces, but also in our professions, in our industries, maybe even in our dreams and what we were moving towards, that we were seeking inauthentic things, that we were conditioned to want certain outcomes, certain dynamics, certain tokens of something, right? If you have this diploma, it means you're doing good. If you have that ring, it means you're doing good. All of these external things to help us make sense of ourselves and our realities, and therefore telling us how to move through the world, how to be, do, live, and create. But to be and to do and to live and to create in conform ways through conformity is not what I would call life, right? That's the notion of being in existence. It's the rut, it's reproduction, it's not creativity. And so departure is precisely that space and a place where we exit the old so that we can start creating, so that we can even start co-creating in union with spirit, so that we can achieve to a higher level of reality that is just very, very different. Because fundamentally, it's also the difference between tolerating, because in this space and place, when you're in the status quo, you being you, you're always going to feel like something is awry. You're always going to be riding, you're always going to be hugging the rat. I'm seeing also the image of someone hugging a cactus. You're hugging the cactus and you're in that relationship stuck, but it hurts. It's painful. It's discomfort at best, right? It's just not something that is fulfilling to you or is going to work for you. But here we have Lord Ganesha riding the rat. And so it's like being in the world but not of it, right? You go along with it, but it doesn't stop Lord Ganesha from having what looks like a whole party there. There's things to eat in both hands. There's the mudra for fearlessness on one hand, holding the reins loosely, doing his own thing, basically. You can do your own thing away from the status quo through departure in a way that is very fulfilling, because again it comes from belonging. And spirit is saying fundamentally you belong in life, you belong with life. You don't belong ostracized from life, alienated from life and its processes through conditioning and programming, and also through the unfolding of various social systems and structures that we have set up. And there is a value in those systems and those structures. But as soon as they start alienating people from themselves or others or from life, when they start to contribute to the alienation of others from self, from one another, from their occupation, from life, from the spiritual, from the divine, from nature, then that is too much and it cannot be tolerated. But it is up to the individual, to each and every single individual, to depart and therefore to choose to shift away. And again, that shift is always going to be value based. And we have a great representation of, value based energy in the heart center with priorities. And again, this is the mudra, the fearless mudra right here. Open hand. Fearless, holding the lotus with the other. There's a lot enlightenment wisdom. And again, here's the rat watching. My priority is not to get along with you. My priority is not to tolerate you. My priority is to do my thing fearlessly and wisely, to unfold in the highest peaks, right? To just do my thing, be myself, lead my life. And if you want to, you can watch, right? There's no one hiding, not in a cave off somewhere, but here in the open, unfolding naturally, and you can watch, and the status quo can watch. And there's also this energy that's very irreverent, like, watch me, watch me be myself, watch me unfold, watch me rise, watch me thrive at all of the things you told me that I could never thrive at, in all of the ways you told me I couldn't, wouldn't, shouldn't thrive at. Watch it unfold. And that's the departure. And priorities is, again, that thing when we know what has the most importance. But also, priorities is also about relevance. And I remember once I was sitting with a friend, and we had just met this person for the first time. And I say person because they're they, right? So they identify as a they. And we were sitting there together, and they had their colleague come over, and the colleague just started, how in workplaces people get stressed and they want to pass on stress. So the colleague just came in, she's like, oh, we have all of these issues, blah, 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 blah. And then the person just stopped them and said, wait a minute, this is not relevant for me to know because I'm not going to be there that day. So I don't need to know that. And the colleague was just stunned. And me and my friend also, we were stunned. We're like, wow, that's so clear. And I was just thinking, I need to do that so much more. And it's true. It's not relevant for me to do that because there is no way in which this aligns with my priorities. I'm here, I'm hanging out, I'm talking with people. Right now, priorities doesn't align. It's not going to align with my priorities in the future because I'm not going to be there. I have nothing to do with this. So it's not relevant for me to know that. And it's like, it's something that requires power to do, right? Because also she did it with with a smile, and they managed to just convey it very simply. It's not relevant for me to do that. There's no anger. It's not, it's neither of those energies fundamentally. It's more this energy. I understand what you want from me. I understand that you want me to conform. And moreover, I understand that you want me to participate. I understand you want my attention. You want my energy. You want my time. You may want my money. You may want my effort, my labor, all of those things. I understand that in the way that you function, you would like for me to offer those things up right now. But you know what? I got other things to do. I got different priorities. And those priorities are engendered through my relationship to the self. They're about me. They're about my life and where I'm headed. And right now, maybe I can give it to you, and I would if I chose to, or I would not if I chose to. And that's the priority. It's not so much if I'm saying yes or no to you, the priority is being true to me. And again, that's the departure, or at least one of the first steps, and certainly where Spirit wanted us to start. And so, my love, those were the messages that I have to share with you for here and now. And I hope that they served you. I hope that they spoke to you. And I will be back next week for more messages. And of course, I'll be here Thursday and Saturday for the life healing, the life reading and healing, and then the love and relationships on Saturday, along with the intuitive healing on the Patreon. So that's it for now. Sending you lots of love, wishing you all the best. May you be blessed always and in always. And I'll be seeing you around. Bye.